Week 2. Mental Wellness. Furaha is a middle-aged man who previously worked as a well-paid accounting manager of an internationally funded organization. He was a respected and influential member of the community. One day, he unexpectedly lost his job. For fear of ridicule and embarrassment, he did not disclose this to family. He continued waking up daily, pretending to go to work. Soon enough, his savings were depleted, and he had not found new employment. New friends introduced him to clubbing and excessive drinking of alcohol to cope with the situation. To his family and community at large, he became a totally different and unapproachable person. He shunned religious and communal activities. His wife tried seeking help from their local church leaders, but he did not cooperate. It was now clear to his wife and family that he had lost his job. She was bitter and resented him for his failure to disclose his job loss. She reluctantly cooked for him or washed his clothes. She finally moved out of their home with their children to a rented house in another city without informing him. He further sank into depression and turned to full-blown substance abuse to down his sorrows. One day, as he headed home from his drinking sprees, he was involved in an accident and was rushed to hospital by a well-wisher. His family members were requested to assist in his recovery after being educated on the critical need for psychosocial support. Furaha was introduced to an Alcoholic Anonymous group that helped in his recovery from alcohol and substance abuse. He learned to deal with his problem and was able to share his experience with his community. Situation analysis. The World Health Organization defines mental wellness as a state of well-being in which an individual realizes their own abilities, can cope with the normal stress of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to contribute to his or her community. Mental wellness means you are able to adequately cope with the stress life throws at you, whether that be as simple as work projects or as complicated as retrenchment. It is the balance between your emotional, physical, spiritual, and mental self. Mental health conditions are disturbances in person's thinking, feelings, or behavior, or a combination of these, that reflects a problem in mental function. They cause distress or disability in economic, social, and family activities. It is estimated that up to 25% of outpatients and up to 40% of inpatients in Kenya's health facilities suffer from mental conditions. The most frequent of diagnoses of mental illness made in general hospital setting are depression, substance abuse, stress, and anxiety disorders. Globally, 1 in 4 people will experience a mental health condition in their lifetime, and nearly 1 million people die from suicide every year. Depression has been established as the leading cause of years lost due to disability worldwide and resultant mental health problems. Alcohol and substance abuse are among the 10 leading causes of disability in both developed and developing countries. Mental illnesses present themselves in many different ways that may seem normal in nature, but when exploited to different degrees, affect the well-being of an individual. Traumatic events such as accidents and disasters, as well as violence and conflict, for example the 2007 post-election violence and similar conflicts, have played a significant role in development of post-traumatic disorders, anxiety, and depression among those affected. The impact of social justice, such as poor governance, socio-cultural norms, economic shock, and pandemics such as the COVID-19 contribute to the rise of mental illness among people. This has been aggravated by the fact that most people, including health workers, do not have sufficient knowledge on specific interventions. The Kenya Mental Health Policy 2015 to 2030 provides for a framework on interventions for securing mental health system reforms in Kenya. This is in line with the Constitution, the Vision 2030 Economic Blueprint, the Kenya Health Policy 2014 to 2030, and global commitments. Article 43(1)(a) of the Constitution provides that every person has the right to the highest attainable standard of health, which includes the right to healthcare services. This necessarily includes mental health. It is highly recommended to always be on the lookout in the spirit of togetherness to quickly notice telltale signs that may point out to mental disturbances. Spiritual reflection. Genesis 12, 1-4, 2 Timothy 1, 8b-10, Matthew 17, 1-9. All human beings, regardless of what ailment they suffer or their mental condition, are made in the image and likeness of God. Genesis 1:27. And we are called to love them as we love ourselves. Christ is present even in those who are sick. I was sick and you visited me. Matthew 25:36. We are called to treat all who are ill, whether physically or mentally. Pope St. John Paul II confirmed this when he said, "Well, Christ took all human sufferings on himself, even mental illness. Yes, even this affliction, which perhaps seem the most absurd and incomprehensible, configures the sick person to Christ and gives him a share in his redeeming passion." Pope John Paul II. Mentally ill are also made in God's image. 1996. It is everyone's duty to respond with active charity to those who suffer from mental illness, particularly because the kingdom of God belongs to them. St. Pope John Paul II reminds us that it is each and everyone's duty to make an active response in relating with the mentally ill. Through our actions, we must show that their situations does not create disturbances that cannot be overcome, nor prevent relating with them in true Christian love. From and through us, let them hear the word of Christ in the gospel. Stand up, do not be afraid. Matthew 17:7. People experiencing mental illness too have a desire to live life to the full. The community needs to acknowledge their unique contribution. We need to recognize mental illness for what it is. Let us spend time with love, pray for the sick, care for them at home, in the parish, and in mental health institutions. Mental illness is not diabolical possession. It is an illness and has to be treated as such. The Church, at its best, champions the rights of the weak, including the mentally frail or ill, and offers them friendship and spiritual home. Reflection questions. What do you understand by mental wellness? Which mental health issue have you encountered in your family, small Christian community, parish or community? How did you handle them? Does your parish have an active mental wellness program? Examination. Do I take care of my mental well-being? Am I aware of any mental health issues? Am I able to identify symptoms of mental problems? Have I contributed to someone else's mental problems? Proposed actions. Seek awareness of mental health from experts. Share the knowledge you've gained on mental health. Advocate the need for psychosocial support and trauma healing. Ukiwa una swali la Kikatoliki ambalo ungependa kulijua, lipachike kwenye comment section ama ututumie barua kwa katoliki@lnn@gmail.com. Nasi tutalivalia njuga, tulipigie mbizi na baadaye tutaling'amua. Asante sana.